I stood there, paralyzed, while the cold air conditioning of the hotel lobby bit into my skin, contrasting sharply with the burning humiliation rising in my cheeks. My fingers clutched my clutch bag so tightly that my knuckles turned bone white. The scent of Chanel No. 5, mingled with the expensive aroma of lilies and roasted duck, created a nauseating cocktail in my stomach. I was wearing a black evening gown that cost $500, a sum I had debated over for 2 weeks, eating plain toast for dinner just to afford it, simply because my mother, Linda, had once said, "The women of the Miller family must always look like royalty." But in that moment, standing under the crystal chandelier that cost more than my first car, I didn't feel like royalty. I felt like a parasite. A disease that needed to be eradicated. The security guard, a hulking man with a face carved from granite, gripped my upper arm. His fingers dug into my flesh with a force that promised bruises by morning. But that physical pain was a gentle caress compared to the invisible blade slicing through my heart. My mother's voice, sharp and shrill, echoed across the marble-floored hall, piercing through the melodious strains of the live string quartet. "Get this beggar out of here. Where is security? How did you let this trash slip through?" 200 guests turned their heads. I saw their eyes. I felt them physically on my skin. The curiosity. The disdain. The whispers behind champagne flutes. And worst of all, the pity. This was my parents' 50th wedding anniversary. The Golden Jubilee. A celebration of love, endurance, and family values. And I, Elena, the daughter who had silently wired $26,000 of my blood, sweat, and tears to pay for every single flower, every crystal glass, every bite of gourmet food on their plates, was being thrown out like a stray dog crashing a banquet. If you are sitting there, thinking that family is a safe harbor where the storm ends, then this story is going to rip that illusion apart. I am going to tell you a story, not just about being kicked out of a party, but about the 3,650 days I spent carving pieces of my own flesh to feed people who only called me daughter when the bill arrived. This is the story of how I bought my freedom. And trust me, freedom is expensive. To understand why I stood there freezing in that hotel lobby, you have to understand the hunger. Not just the physical hunger, though there was plenty of that, but the hunger for a single crumb of affection. I remember the winter of 2016 vividly. It is etched into my bones. I was a sophomore in college, juggling 3 part-time jobs while maintaining a 4.0 GPA because I believed that if I was perfect, they would finally see me. It was a Tuesday. My phone rang. It was my father, Robert. His voice was warm, deep, laced with that deceptive concern that always made my defenses crumble. "Elena, honey, your mother's blood pressure is spiking again. The doctor prescribed a new medication, but it's not covered by insurance. It's expensive. I haven't received my commission check yet, and I don't want her to worry." I looked at my bank account balance on my cracked phone screen. $300. That was my food budget for the entire month. It was also my heating bill money. I didn't hesitate. Not for a second. "How much, Dad?" $250, he said, the relief audible in his voice. I transferred the money instantly. I was left with $50 to survive 30 days in one of the coldest winters Chicago had ever seen. That month, I walked 5 miles to work every single day through the sludge and snow because I couldn't afford the bus fare. My boots were old, the soles peeling away, letting the icy water seep in. I remember the sensation of my toes going numb, then burning with pain as they thawed out in the back of the restaurant kitchen where I washed dishes. My hands were red, chapped, and bleeding from the harsh industrial soap. I ate bread that the supermarket was about to throw away, the kind that was so hard you had to soak it in water to swallow it. I lost 10 pounds that month. I looked gaunt, like a ghost haunting my own life. But every night, as I shivered under my thin blanket, I told myself, it's worth it. Mom is healthy. I am a good daughter. This is what family does. But the cruel truth has a way of revealing itself. 2 days after I sent that money, I was scrolling through Instagram during my 5-minute break, trying to forget the gnawing pain in my stomach. I saw a post from Kevin, my younger brother. There they were. My parents and Kevin. Sitting at a high-end steakhouse downtown. The table was laden with food, filet mignon, lobster tails, a bottle of vintage red wine. The caption read, "Spontaneous Tuesday dinner. Celebrating life. Thanks, Mom and Dad, for the treat." I zoomed in on the photo. I saw the bill sitting on the edge of the table. The total visible was over $200. The world stopped. The noise of the kitchen faded. I stared at that photo until my eyes burned. I had walked through snow, I had starved, I had let my hands bleed so they could buy medication. And they had used my sacrifice to buy steak. That night, I lay curled up in my freezing dorm room, my stomach screaming for food, and I cried. I didn't cry because I was hungry. I cried because I felt foolish. I had set myself on fire to keep them warm, and they had used the flames to roast marshmallows, laughing while I burned. But did I stop? No. Because abuse is addictive. You keep thinking that if you just give a little more, sacrifice a little bigger, maybe next time, they will actually love you. Kevin. My brother. The golden child. The prince of the Miller household. He was born with a halo that blinded my parents to everything else. When Kevin decided he wanted to study art in New York, a degree that cost $48,000 a year, my mother sat me down. She poured me a cup of tea, a rare gesture that should have warned me. "Elena," she said, holding my hand with a softness she never usually showed. "Kevin has a gift. He is sensitive. He needs the right environment to bloom. You are strong. You are a survivor. You can handle the state university. But Kevin, he needs New York." "But Mom," I whispered, "I got into Columbia too. I wanted to go." "We can't afford to in New York," she said, her voice hardening instantly. "Don't be selfish, Elena. It's your brother's turn." So I stayed. I worked. I gave up my dream of a master's degree to work double shifts so I could send them money. Because somehow, my father's business always had a bad month exactly when Kevin's rent was due. I became a machine. I stopped dating. I stopped buying clothes. I stopped having hobbies. My life was a spreadsheet of income and outcome, and the outcome always flowed in one direction, to them. I remember one specific night. I had a fever of 104 degrees. I was delirious, lying on my bathroom floor, unable to move. I managed to call my mother, desperate for a voice, just someone to tell me it would be okay. She picked up on the third ring. "Make it quick, Elena, I'm at the furniture store picking out a sofa for Kevin's new apartment. Do you think velvet or leather is better?" "Mom," I rasped, my throat feeling like it was filled with glass. "I think I need to go to the hospital. I can't move." There was a silence. Then a sigh of impatience. "Oh, Elena, don't be dramatic. It's probably just the flu. Take some Tylenol and sleep it off." "I can't talk right now, the sales associate is waiting. Bye." The line went dead. I lay there on the cold tiles, the silence of the apartment pressing down on me. That was the moment I realized the terrifying truth. To them, I wasn't a person. I wasn't a daughter. I was a utility. I was a walking ATM. If an ATM breaks down, you don't hug it. You don't ask if it's in pain. You kick it, you curse at it, and you try to force the cash out. And if it stops dispensing cash, it becomes useless junk. Fast forward to last week. The call. My mother's voice was like honey dripping from a poisoned comb. "Elena, darling. Our 50th anniversary is coming up. The Golden Jubilee. Your father is so excited. He wants to rent the grand ballroom at the Ritz. But, well, the business is slow again. And we want it to be perfect. For the family image, you know? How much? I asked. The reflex was automatic. 26,000, she said. It covers the venue, the catering, the orchestra. It would mean the world to us. It would make us a complete family again. That phrase. A complete family. It was the bait. And I, the starving fish, bit down hard. I had just received a bonus from my biggest project yet. That money was meant for a down payment on a small house for myself. A place where I wouldn't have to pay rent, a place that was mine. But the longing for their approval was stronger than my need for security. I thought, this is it. This is the grand gesture. If I make this happen, they can't ignore me. They will have to seat me at the head table. They will have to toast to me. I wired the money. $26,000. Gone in a click. I bought the dress. I did my hair. I drove to the hotel with my heart pounding a rhythm of hope and anxiety. I walked up to the reception desk, smiling at the girl behind the counter. I'm Elena Miller. The daughter of the hosts. She scanned the list. Once. Twice. Her smile faltered. She looked up at me with apologetic eyes. I'm sorry, Mississippi. Your name isn't here. I have a Kevin Miller. I have aunts, uncles, cousins, but no Elena. My blood ran cold. Check again. I paid for this event. My name has to be there. I'm sorry, she whispered. It's a strict guest list provided by Mr. and Mrs. Miller. No additions allowed. And then, I saw them. My parents walked out of the ballroom, basking in the applause of the arriving guests. My father looked dashing in a tuxedo I knew cost $3,000. My mother glittered in gold sequins. They looked happy. They looked perfect. Until they saw me. The transformation was instant. The smiles dropped like masks. My father's face contorted into a sneer of pure disgust. He walked over to me, not with open arms, but with the aggressive stride of a man confronting an intruder. What are you doing here? He hissed, his voice low and venomous. I came to celebrate, I stammered, my voice sounding small and childish to my own ears. I sent the money, Dad. I made this happen. Money is one thing, he cut me off, his eyes cold as stones. But look at you. You don't fit in here, Elena. This is a high society event. These are important people. You carry a gloom with you. You look desperate. You'll embarrass us. Embarrass you? I choked out. I am your daughter. You are a complication, he said. We told people you couldn't make it. That you were busy working. That's your role, Elena. You work. You provide. You don't shine. Kevin is inside entertaining the guests. He is the face of this family. You are the back-end support. Now go. No, I said, my voice trembling. I want to go inside. Security. My mother screamed. She didn't even hesitate. She pointed at me like I was a rabid animal. Get this beggar out of here. She is harassing the guests. The guard grabbed me. The guests stared. And something inside me, something that had been holding on by a thread for 10 years, finally snapped. I didn't fight the guard. I walked out into the rain. I sat in my car. The engine was cold. The world was dark. But inside my mind, a light had turned on. A blinding, white-hot light of clarity. Dutiful Elena died in that parking lot. I opened my laptop. I tethered it to my phone's hotspot. The rain drummed on the roof of the car, a rhythmic war drum accompanying my fingers on the keyboard. I didn't feel anger anymore. Anger is hot. Anger is messy. What I felt was the cold, surgical precision of a CEO executing a hostile takeover. I logged into the bank portal. Target 1, the party. I pulled up the transaction for the event organizer. $26,000. It was still in the pending clearance window, a 24-hour grace period for large transfers. I clicked Cancel Transfer. A pop-up asked for a reason. I typed, fraudulent misrepresentation. I imagined the moment, about an hour from now, when the hotel manager would tap my father on the shoulder. When the credit card on file would be run and declined. When the music would stop. Target 2, the lifestyle. My mother's supplementary credit card. The one she used to buy her daily validation. I logged in. Report lost/stolen. Block card. Effect, immediate. She was probably at the bar right now, ordering another round of expensive champagne for her friends. I smiled, imagining the bartender cutting the card in half. Target 3, the prince. Kevin's house loan. $74,000 guarantee. I was the cosigner. I was the financial backbone that convinced the bank to lend money to a freelance artist with zero income. I drafted a formal email to the loan officer, attaching the clause in our contract that allowed the guarantor to withdraw support if financial stability was compromised. I am withdrawing my guarantee effective immediately. Without my backing, the bank would freeze his assets by morning. The foreclosure process would begin within 30 days. Target 4, the future. The retirement fund. $190,000. Money I had slowly siphoned from my own earnings into a trust for my parents' old age. I liquidated the entire portfolio. I transferred every cent back to my primary savings account. Dissolve trust. Total value recovered, $340,000. I sat back. My hands were shaking, not from fear, but from the adrenaline of liberation. I had just amputated a gangrenous limb. It hurt. God, it hurt. But I knew that for the first time in my life, I was going to heal. I drove home in silence. I stopped at a liquor store and bought a bottle of wine. I bought a loaf of bread. I went home, locked my door, and turned off the lights. But the storm wasn't over. It was just moving location. An hour later, my phone began to light up. It buzzed against the coffee table like an angry hornet. Missed call, Mom, 12. Missed call, Dad, 20. Missed call, Kevin, 8. Text message from Kevin, you bitch. What did you do? Text message from Dad, the manager is threatening to call the police on us. Fix this now. Text message from Mom, how could you? We are family. I turned the phone face down. I poured myself a glass of wine. I took a sip. It tasted like victory. Then came the pounding on the door. I knew who it was. I walked to the door, glass in hand. I opened it. Kevin stood there. He was drenched. His expensive suit was ruined. His hair plastered to his forehead. He looked wild, panic and rage warring in his eyes. You ruined it, he screamed, pushing past me into my living room. You ruined everything. Dad had a panic attack. Mom is crying in the lobby. Everyone is laughing at us. I leaned against the doorframe, swirling the wine in my glass. And? He looked at me incredulously. Fix it. Transfer the money back. Call the hotel. Tell them it was a mistake. No, I said softly. What did you say? I said no. The bank is closed, Kevin. The Elena bank is permanently closed. You can't do this. He stepped closer, trying to use his physical size to intimidate me. You have a duty. You are the eldest. You can't just cut us off because of a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding? I laughed, a low, humorless sound. You call treating me like a beggar a misunderstanding? You call 10 years of exploitation a misunderstanding? We let you be part of the family, he yelled. We let you help. You let me pay, I corrected him. There is a difference. You know, Kevin, I used to envy you. I used to look at you and wonder what it felt like to be loved just for existing. To not have to earn your seat at the table. I walked over to the table where I kept my files. I picked up the thick folder of bank statements I had prepared. I threw it at his feet. The papers scattered across the floor, thousands of line items, thousands of dollars. Look at it, I said, my voice rising for the first time. Look at the price of your love. That is my life on that floor. That is the vacations I didn't take. The meals I didn't eat. The children I didn't have because I was too busy raising my parents and their adult son. Kevin looked down. He saw the numbers. For a second, just a second, I saw the shame flicker in his eyes. But shame is a weak emotion compared to entitlement. But we need you, he whispered, his voice cracking. I can't pay for the house. I'll lose everything. Then you will learn, I said. You will learn what I learned at 18. You will learn to work. You will learn to save. You will learn that the world doesn't owe you a living. Mom and Dad will never forgive you, he said, playing his final card. I know, I replied. And I will never forgive them. So we are even. I pointed to the door. Get out, Kevin. Go take care of your parents. It's your turn now. You're the golden child, remember? Shine. He stared at me for a long moment. He realized, finally, that the sister he knew, the doormat, the shadow, was gone. In her place stood a stranger. A stranger with a glass of wine and a heart of steel. He turned and walked out. I slammed the door. I locked the deadbolt. I slid the chain across. I slid down to the floor, my back against the wood. And finally, I cried. I didn't cry for them. I cried for the little girl inside me who had waited 30 years for a hug that never came. I cried to mourn her. I cried to let her go. 1 year has passed since that night. I am standing here today, in my own office, looking out at the city skyline. My company, Phoenix Financial, is thriving. We help women regain financial independence after abusive relationships. My parents tried to contact me. When the money ran out, the apologies started flowing. We were stressed. We didn't mean it. We miss our daughter. I never replied. I blocked their numbers. I returned their letters unopened. I learned a hard lesson that night in the rain. You cannot heal in the same environment that made you sick. You cannot drink poison and expect to get healthy just because the poison is served in a crystal glass by people who share your DNA. Freedom has a price. For me, the price was $340,000 and the loss of my entire family. But as I stand here, breathing air that feels lighter, waking up without the crushing weight of obligation, I know one thing for sure. It was a bargain. If you are watching this, and you feel that heavy knot in your stomach every time your phone rings. If you feel like you are buying your place in your own home. If you are the one setting yourself on fire to keep others warm. Stop. Just stop. Drop the match. Let them freeze. Because you deserve to be warm too. I'm Elena. And I chose myself. Will you?